Welcome to another episode of repairs to this old Triumph TR7. Now what's happening today is, well, I hope to replace the spring, bottom of the spring where the spring sits is made of nylosane and it's all perished. There's nylosane on the ground. To do that, I got to get this whole front strut assembly out. And while that's happening, I'm going to fit a camber caster adjusting gadget that goes on the top. It replaces the top mount over this whole strut assembly. Now, there's bugger all instructions with this kit that I bought, so it's going to be a bit of a sort of try it and see arrangement. I can't quite get my head around how it's going to work, but at any rate, I will give that a go. I think that might be all. Okay, since the last episode, I have replaced the power booster and the master cylinder. They came off last time and I sent them away. They were away for about a month and they cost about a fifth of the car's value to have repaired. And like so much stuff, it's not done all that well. Like, yeah, sure, it's probably repaired properly, but things like the power booster, the threads of the 4 bolts that hold the power booster to the firewall, you know, they'd been painted. You know, they painted the whole thing. Well, the threads were all painted up, weren't they? You know, take the trouble to mask up the thread. Anyway, doesn't matter. Getting old and picky about workmanship. That's a sign of old age, eh? What? Alright, I think that is about it. What else did I replace? The sump guard's back on and that's about it. So let's get on with it. Alrighty, the first thing that needs to come off is the brake caliper. Luckily the hard line and the flexible line go into like a sort of fitting, and you can just sort of loosen the nut, pull it off, take the caliper off and hang it up somewhere in under here. So let's get on with doing that. Well, it's been well over a month since I actually started making this video. In the process of doing so, the back gave out. So it seems like more than a month, but I'm going to get back at it if I can. So let's get on with it. Alrighty then, the first thing to do is get this caliper off. I've got a piece of wire up here that I'm just going to undo the caliper, undo this joint here, so it won't actually be fluid coming out, and I'll just sort of hang it up with the flexible line that it's got there. This car's got a kit on it. It's a ventilated rotor off a Subaru Liberty, and the caliper's off a Volvo. Now, I bought it as a kit because I don't think the Volvo caliper bolts straight on, but I can't see anything that they've done to make it fit. Now, I don't know, I've been talking about this car having a steering shake problem when you put your foot on the brake, and there's not a single component in the steering, suspension or braking system that hasn't been changed. And wheels, tyre, you name it, every single component got changed over a period of time trying to find this problem. And the only thing I haven't done anything with is the calipers. But the facts of life are these calipers have been on this car for a long time. And so why did the problem just suddenly appear? I'm told Austin Princess or something like that, some pommy car, calipers fit, but I don't know about the offset in relation to this rotor. So at the moment I'm not going to do anything with the calipers, so I'll do what I'm going to do now. and I'll see what happens when the car's back on the road. And so let's get this caliper off. Now we've got the spanner you need. This was one of the best things I ever did to the TR7. The paper thin disc rotors that are on it from the factory. And I'm not even talking about motorsport here, I'm just talking about, you know, driving down a decent mountain range or something. And you have no brakes at the bottom. So, oh my goodness gracious mate. So yeah, it's the best thing I've ever done. The car, yeah, you just drive it normally now. It doesn't do anything odd or weird. Even the dolly had pretty thin brakes on it, but for road use it was fine. It's only when it was in motorsport that I had trouble. But this car, oh, just normal driving. So it was the best thing I ever did to this, you know. Thinking about putting disc brakes on the back, but that is a thing yet to be thought about, I think. There's another bolt here that holds part of the steering on, so rather than undo the tie rod end, I'll undo this. That'll disconnect the steering. Have to do that in order to get to the ball joint. Now, just undo this ball joint. I'm going to take the nut all the way off because I'm going to have to hit that with a hammer to break the taper. But before I do that, let's get this rotor and hub off. Now, when I first got this brake conversion, the super light style, mini light style wheels, which are a 6-inch wide, 13-inch wheel, fitted. They just cleared the caliper. I then, at some point, bought a new set of wheels, and the old set went on the dolly. And that new set was slightly different design, and they wouldn't clear. So there's a tiny spacer. It's about 2 mil, but it gives the clearance. So, and that's not the cause of the steering shake. I've already checked that one out. All right, let's get this off. Now the wheel bearings have been done in this car from a time frame standpoint quite a while back, but in a kilometres travelled standpoint, not very long ago. So I won't need to replace them, or not only do you never have the right spanner, but you never have like a piece of rag, or no matter how much you try and sort of get everything ready before you get down on the ground, you forget something. In this case, a rag. Alrighty then. That's oh, don't tell me. I'll say it again. You never have the right spanner. I'm just going to have to hit this just here with a hammer. It helps to have a bit of downward pressure on the suspension. Doesn't need much, just like about a kg of pressure. So I'm going to have to get up again to get a bar. Also, the boot, again, this is a relatively new ball joint. In time, it's old, but in mileage, kilometerage, it's new. So I need to protect the boot in case I miss with the hammer. So a bit of gaffer tape and some sort of bar. I'll edit out all the video of me, the beach whale, getting up and down. Oh, don't get old, guys. Oh, gaffer tapes, bugger of stuff. Now in the old days I'd get somebody, my old man or someone, just to put a bit of weight on the end of that bar, but I haven't got anybody, so it's going to be a bit awkward here. Just got to hit it in the right spot. There is a sweet spot on all these, but of course I work on dollies, TR7s and 2500s, and ball joints are not the common thing I work on, so it's years between drinks, so I can never remember, but that worked. Ball joint is broken. We can take that nut off. I now need to go up and undo the nuts that at the top of the strut assembly. Get the strut off now. This thing weighs a bit, so anyway. Alright, let's try and get this strut out. That was heavy as I remember it. Alrighty, one front strut. Let's get it onto the bench and see what we can do with it. Well, let's see if we can get this strut apart. And my memory tells me that this spring isn't under very much load, if any. But on the safe side, I'll put some of the spring compressor on. Yeah, I remember this problem of years ago. Water gets down in, oh no, maybe not. I've had these rust on and basically can't get them off. Now years ago I put it's like a roller bearing kit, Rimmer's sold, in this to try and lighten up the steering a bit. Alright, that's the strut out. And that's this nylethane spring bottom, top, whatever you want to call it. It's all buggered. Alright, the kit comes with a bump stop. Which it talks about chopping a bit off if the car's lowered. There's very basic instructions here. I've also got some new spring doohickey thingamajig to go at the bottom of the spring. also comes with other things. Now I know real men don't read instructions, but they're pretty basic, but I better have a read. Propaganda, propaganda, propaganda. How good they are, how wonderful they are, what they do. How do we fit it? Well, there you go. This piece of paper basically tells you bugger all. Tells you how great the product is. But other than that, it's take your best guess. Well, it looks like this video is going to drag out even longer as I can't make this work. This is the strut assembly. You know, where are we? Yeah, it's just a strut assembly. It comes with sort of various, they call them spacers, collars, sleeves, whatever you want to call them, that go on sort of there. But they're sort of got to pack that out to fit. Well, the problem is that flops all over the place. Very, very loose. As does this one. It's not as bad, but still quite rattly. And even worse than that, when you put all these on, they're too long. I think it's just the wrong bit, so I've contacted the makers and we'll see what happens. So the saga continues. Well, it's been months since I've been working on this car on this video, and I finally gave up on the maker of this camber caster adjusting gadget, and I went to a fitter and turner, and these sleeves and or bushes or whatever you want to call them have been either modified or remade, and so hopefully the problem is now solved and I can get on with putting these in. So let's get on with it. Alrighty then, let's get this front strut back together. Now first up there's that doohickey. Now one of my fellow Triumph owners has tried doing this as well. The problem he's run into is this turning, which it's supposed to do, of course, but he finds that when he's got the car on the ground, the load's on it, you turn the steering, this doesn't want to turn, and it sort of loads up the spring and then suddenly goes. So it'll be interesting to see whether I end up with the same problem, or whether that's some sort of quirk related to his car. He's got great big wheels on his car, which might have a factor involved. Now there's these spacer bushes that go in. Go in here. Alright, the spring needs more compression. So far so good. Let's undo this spring compressor and see if the spring goes onto that. Well, that seems to have gone together. The this turns. It's hard to turn, but it turns. I'm pretty sure that's the way it should be. Well, now with the front strut back together, time to put it in the car. Alright, let's try and get this strut back into the car. It's a bit of a juggling act, this job. Getting the strut brace top has to go on. I have no idea how this adjusts the camber and caster. Maybe I need to read some instructions. Instructions are as clear as mud, so now I'm just going to do this up, get the car back together, and worry about the actual adjustment later. I'll just do this up relatively, wouldn't call it finger tight, but just nipped up if you like. Alright, let's get the rest of it together. Well, it's some months since I pulled this apart, but it's not like I haven't had it apart a million times before over the last sort of 30 years. Now, there's one thing about working on Triumphs, as against that Toyota out there. Now, I don't work on the electronic side or the whiz-bang side of that Toyota, but I have done basic sort of mechanicking on it, like springs and shocks. And every bolt you put in, you just put it in and you turned it and it just lined up and everything straight in, piece of cake. Everything on a Triumph doesn't do that. So something as simple as doing this bolt up here, it has to be, it just gives you grief, because it has to be absolutely, hey, 10 minutes of fiddling with that nut and it's finally going in. Don't you just love Triumphs? Of course you do. Well, that's this side back together. Let's go over the other side and do that. Well, thanks to the magic of video, the other side is now all done and dusted. So the TR7 is just about back together. I can't say I know how to adjust these camber casters. I haven't really looked at it, to be honest. I'm just glad to get the car back together. If and when the car gets running, I'll take it to a wheel aligner and they can do their best. So, bought some new rubber doohickeys to go on there, and the strut brace is back on, so the 7 is back together. Well, that brings us to the end of another exciting episode of repairs to this poor old Triumph TR7. Tune in same duck time, same duck channel for more mechanical mayhem on this poor old 7. Now, next time I'll be fitting a fuel tank gauge sender doohickey and fixing up some nylethane where the springs sit in the back end of the car. Now, due to the magic of video, and because this job took so long, that's actually already been done and filmed, so it'll be up on YouTube a few days after this video you're watching now. There won't be any more content relating to the TR7 for a while because I've got to work on the poor old 2500 Triumph. There's so much to do to that, so the 7 will take a back seat for a while. Bye for now.